Well, I want you to kind of expound upon. I think a lot of times people use those non-conference matchups, especially in Division Two, with the way that our like postseason is set up to try and garner, regional rankings and things like that. Not necessarily the opportunity for you guys at this point, but the challenge that's in front of you playing to FCS schools. What do you hope the guys are able to take away from that as they prepare for GMAC play the next week?
Yeah, I just think it's just gonna be a challenge in everything that you do. Yeah, you're on the road, you're gonna be playing in front of some really large crowds. How do you handle that stuff? That's gonna pay off eventually. Talk about, 2 well-coached teams, the speed of the game, all that stuff. It's gonna benefit our guys, no question about it. Is it gonna be hard? Yeah, it's gonna be hard, for sure. But, I think there's a ton of benefits. Obviously talking about our experience, all that good stuff. But, for us and how we view our conference, that's the most important thing that we're looking at. The GMAC, how we do in the GMAC. That's how we really identify, our season in terms of success, you know.
Well, and piggybacking off of that, likely because of the choice to play those 2 FCS schools, you don't have a home game until October 4th.
Oh, yeah.
So what's that going to be like, being on the road so much in the front half, and how is that gonna challenge the guys? Or maybe it can be a positive, they're gonna be spending a lot of time on buses together, right? And in hotel rooms potentially.
Yeah, the one positive with that, 2 out of those 4 games are overnight trips. So the other 2 are day of, so that does help out a lot. Go look back to last year, we had 7 home games. So it's just totally flipped, for this year. Anytime you're on the road, hostile territory, it just challenges you, and that's something that, I think our guys will embrace that. It's a mindset playing on the road. As a coach, I love going out on the road, playing games. There's no doubt I love playing home games in front of our crowd because we have such a great game day environment down at Thomas More. But our guys, once again, I think they're ready to accept the challenges to play these 7 away games.
Well, when you came in 4 years ago as head coach, um, things looked a little bit different. We talked a little bit about that transition to Division Two and the transition to the GMAC. So a lot of change potentially, as you head into year 4 at the helm of this program. What's different heading into to year 4, and what do you hope to accomplish as you continue to just kind of dig your heels in?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just like roster stability. I think over the last 4 years, coming in, you just really got to make sure that you can really level your classes. Making sure that you have a good freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Have really good levels amongst your depth chart. And that's something that year 1, year 2, not necessarily like that. There wasn't that ultra competitiveness. Uh, During training camp, during practice. So you make that transition to Division Two. Well, guess what? You got to recruit a different type of caliber player as well. And the more depth that you have, it definitely helps out during the course of an 11-game season. And that's probably the biggest change in that sense is just making sure you have a quality roster. All right, from your top guy down to your bottom guy. And I think that our coaching staff's done a really good job recruiting and managing that throughout these last 4 years. But once again, this is year 17 for me, on the sidelines of Thomas More. So, we started out as Division 3 program 4 years in for NAI. Now, with this being our first official year, playing D2, we've been a part of a lot of transition and, just getting caught up to that different level of ball, which, we got 2 years of D2 play behind us. So our guys know what to expect kind of going into our conference. And that's something that benefits having that past experience as well.